a change that's coming up that's going to hit in July, that we're all just sort of starting to talk about, is Payday Super. And that's going to mean that instead of super being paid quarterly, people are going to have to pay, or companies, sorry, are going to have to pay their super at the same time they pay wages. So if you pay wages weekly or you pay wages fortnightly, you're going to have to pay super at the same time. And I think that's going to put extra cash flow pressure on a lot of businesses that are banking on, say, 90-day invoices being paid, and they were waiting for that invoice to come in.
Absolutely. And you know, the ATO, as you say, are getting tired with a lot of things. Now with Payday Super, it's only going to put more and more pressure on businesses in the short term. If they plan well, they talk to us and people like yourselves, they can plan for all this, and it will actually make their businesses better. Businesses that
Yep.
have those disciplines in place seem to be better businesses because they keep on top of it and they manage it. It's all about systems approach. I watched a great documentary just the other day, and it was about Toyota success. They're not fancy, they're not glam, they're not going out putting rockets into space, but they do all the fundamentals really well all the time. And everything's really aligned to, I mean, they're a massive company, as we all know, but everything's about just in time management. Everything's about efficiency. Everything's about having a place. Everything's about making sure that their cash flow is aligned with their business operation, and they're huge. So if they need to do that, it just shows that everybody needs to do that. I think with things like Payday Super and these other disciplines that are being forced on businesses, operators are no longer going to have that easy option to say, I'll pay that tomorrow or the day after. They're going to be forced into it. So they're going to have to think about their cash flow more and more and more. They're going to have to get into arrangements that they can sustain more and more and more. And therefore, they're going to have to make sure that their cash flow aligns with when they have to pay for things. So they're going to have to make sure that their payments in, or so their collection activity has to be really good, or they're going to have funding facilities in place to ensure that they can carry that time between getting paid, to ensure that they can pay the things like the ATO and things like Payday Super, but also keep payments up to their suppliers because they're all going to be under pressure.
Yeah.
They need to get their collections in as well. So that whole economy of business is going to have to become more sustainable, more efficient in order to meet these obligations. I think as a result, we're also going to see a bit of a weeding out of really bad performers. But in the meantime, really good businesses, as you say, that just need that working capital, need that ability to sort of sort out their tax debt, sort out their cash flow so the alignment is a lot closer. We're going to be there for them as you are, and they're going to be able to thrive. And these disciplines are only going to make their businesses far better in the future.
I think the days, and the ATO have got a lot of press releases, and they've said this a lot. The days of treating the ATO like the easy, cheap small business bank are gone. I think everyone just needs to completely put that in the past. That's gone, and people do need the reality of different finance options. I don't have a frog with me today, but I'm wearing green. I also always talk about eating the frog, and I just think exactly like what you were saying. It's about planning. You can't put these difficult things off anymore. You've got to face them head on. And by facing them head on and dealing with the debt and not waiting to get those nasty letters from the ATO, or looking and sourcing different funding now and different options now, rather than hoping that they can just build up an ATO balance and nothing will happen. Or I know people sometimes say to me, oh yeah, but it's expensive to get different funding. But the reality is the ATO, if you're not in a payment plan and you're not paying them, that the enforcement action is way more expensive. So if there's a garnishee that takes money out of your bank account, or a director penalty notice, or a wind up, or a bankruptcy, they have a huge detrimental effect. So when you talk about finance being expensive, I think if you weigh those two things up, finance is just going to be a cost of doing business as we move forward with different regimes and with different timing and what people are going to need to make sure they're protected from this recovery action.